It's Sunday. It's Sunday, September the 15th. And it's yours truly, back with another installment of What the Fuck Are They Doing to Me Now? So I'm just going to provide an update on some correspondence that I sent on Friday, September the 13th, very early in the morning. And we can see there who this correspondence was sent to. So I'll read this out. I apologize, it's not very well written. I'm extremely tired. Physically, I'm not doing well. I'm known as Victoria, informing public servant Laura Wheeler to read the PDF attachment, then act immediately to stop whatever evil you have planned, as I am a woman refusing to live in fear for my life as a result of your threats uttered, intimidation, collusion between, this person and countless members of the two swineherds here. If you, this person, have an unlawful malicious warrant out for my arrest, you will quash your order for criminal mind violent act forthwith, scan a copy, and provide the paperwork to this email address before the end of the day. Miss Wheeler, you have an email address which I require immediately, as we have to discuss why you are protecting persons in possession of my stolen Senate security and trespass to keep me, the power of attorney, the trustee of that domicile, from the owner's right to possession and enjoyment. Be aware a complaint has been filed with the BC Police Complaints Commission public servants against the mobsters acting for the District of Saanich. And of course, I recorded that call, and it's up on my channel. Miss Wheeler, if you are required to open each link in the PDF to learn why I am a woman who will not tolerate your hatred, bias, discrimination, mischief, threats, intimidation, aiding and abetting mortgage fraud, malicious prosecution, as no one is above the law, and I've had enough. Do you understand your malicious prosecution is lawfully denied? Yours very truly. I sign my name. I am a private woman. I am absolutely a foreigner. And all rights of the peculiar people reserved and enforced with prejudice in perpetuity. It's the common law. It sits right there on the witness box. Everyone has two choices every day, all day. You choose life or you choose death. Everyone makes choices. So I'll open the PDF. So this was sent, on August the 31st. They're commanding me around, right? They're telling me what to do. Yeah, I don't fucking think so. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're not telling me anything. So this is why. Now this document was sent out to a number of different persons acting as this criminal organization in the province of British Columbia on September the 4th, because I was supposed to be, at a satanic ritual on September the 5th. I didn't go. I mean, I'm sorry. My time is priceless. My time is precious. My peace is precious. And my peace is priceless. And you shit-stains will not be disturbing my peace, and you shit-stains will not be disturbing any more of my time or wasting any more of my time. I've wasted fucking how many years of my life dealing with creatures of the devil. Now in Scripture they're called children of the devil. The devil doesn't have children. Those are creatures of chaos and confusion. No. How about no? So, Laura, on August the 30th, claims you made on the record before a bench or in one of your friends' community statements publicly incited and willfully promoted hatred against my identifiable group, against an innocent woman, a righteous foreigner of proven good conduct and good character. So law maxim, what is not permitted is prohibited, Now you realize, right, now, have you ever gone through this legal bullshit? It's just literally a joke. So when you go through defamatory libel, which is a crime in Canada, it's an indictable crime in Canada, these sociopathic, sadistic, slimy solicitors have actually written in their bullshit that they can't be charged with defamatory libel. Oh, that's okay, because I got you right here on section 319 too. Makes it an offense to willfully promote hatred against any identifiable group making statements other than in private conversation. Well, once you start to speak those lies on the record, that is no longer a private conversation. You had private conversations with the swineherd members there, and you're going to have affidavits. You're going to have sworn affidavits, not only from Benji Howe, but your buddies there. And I need to see those documents, and I need to see them now. Oh, so you can proceed? I can proceed by indictment or by summary process. 2 years in jail. So let's talk about the living law. Because the living law is the law. There is no other law than the living law. So this is Exodus. You don't murder, you don't commit adultery, you don't steal, and you don't go around telling lies about your neighbor. And that's all the fuck I heard. Listen to me. Every time I've been... Listen, I said in another upload that every time I've been in there and I've listened to these creatures of the crown, I'm telling you, man, they literally cannot speak a word of truth. This is a pattern of behavior. I've seen them do it to others, and they've done it to me repeatedly. Miss Wheeler, you stated on the record that I'm a woman with a history of criminal harassment going back to 2007. You're obligated to provide the identification of the person who provided this bold-faced lie to you, as that person or persons are guilty of the indictable crime of defamatory libel. So, I was robbed of my inalienable right as a mother to give love to my private property, my son, and to receive love from him. And he, my biological real property, has been robbed of receiving love from me and giving love to me because of hatred. They had no case at all. I'm not a child abuser, but I sure the fuck can tell you who is. So this is from a deposition that I wrote about my experience with the whores acting as government child protection here. So December the 14th, 2010, I was illegally arrested. At the same location, I was just illegally arrested at the end of August and thrown in jail. Yeah, by a trap set to falsely charge me with harassment, uttering threats, violating a court order that I was never served. And I mean, if you're not served it, how can you follow it? They did that to me on purpose because I kept fighting for my son. Right? Are you a parent? Would you stay silent? Well, a cabal destroyed your family? So false arrests are just part of our lives. Right? You read Jeremiah, read the Psalms, read Luke. This is what happens to us when we're here. So here's the deal. I'm the one being harassed. My son and I are both being criminally harassed, and we're both being threatened constantly by the witches acting as government child protection. That's the truth of the matter. So democracy is an illusion, and legal is an illusion, right? The crown, represented by a lion, against a fictional illusion, which is the legal person. So are you noticing that unicorn is enslaved in chains? It's all hidden in plain sight. You're literally, if you're a citizen, you are determined to be a slave. That's why when you go into one of the whorehouses and you're going up the reprobate rat ranks, when you get into the Supreme Court level, what sits there identifies itself as a master. Well, a master of what? Well, fuck, a master of slaves. Yes, you're a slave. How do you like them apples? It's not like they're hiding it. It's all right there in front of your fucking face. Oh, here we go. Are you aware that persons acting as Victoria policy enforcement have a history of refusing my urgent request for service and protection while I'm being intimidated and robbed? When these persons protect the criminal... Excuse me, I'm so tired. Then these persons protect the criminals in possession of my stolen property and intentionally, maliciously lay false charges against myself, a continuous victim of racially motivated, violent hate crimes. Law maxim. A man or woman shall not be deprived of their property without their consent. Where is my son? Who bought my 8-year-old son? Who sold my 8-year-old son? Because I'm going to find out, and I will not stop. So here's some information here. I literally went, while the crime is in progress, before the crime is actually committed, I go into fucking the swineherd hangout down there. Oh yeah, the fucking swineherd, they have a hangout. Oh fuck, absolutely they do. So I go in there and I'm like, well, I'm being robbed. Like, I got a problem. Oh fuck no, that's a civil matter. Oh, so now theft over 5,000, intimidation, uttering threats, locking me out of my business. That's a civil matter. Yeah, this is the level of fucking intelligence I'm dealing with. At that time, a malicious monster is pretending to be the BC Attorney General, and that malicious monster, a criminal, is also notified that there's a crime in progress, and I am, as usual, stonewalled. That's a hate crime. Law maxim. He who derives benefit from a thing ought to feel the disadvantages attending it. So now what I have 2 criminals who have now stolen my property, and now they're both, and for years this has been going on, they have been making money using my stolen property. And so here I am, never once disturbed the peace, never once freaked either of them out. I'm dropping off notifications at the location of my stolen property that if you don't give me back my property, then you have to pay for my property. And that's exactly what you read there. I won't go into it. And so, right, I'm being stonewalled. But what happens is the female criminal, Tittyzan, is now calling the criminals acting as Vic PD and lying. It's called public mischief. It's a crime. Lying and saying that I'm now, it's in fear of harm and injury. It's in fear of damage and harm and injury because it's in possession of my stolen property and it has to pay for that property. So then who now is being, well, I tell you what, the gang stalking began. Yeah, these little shits, these little armed and dangerous shits are now trespassing on my property on Polyanthus Crescent. They're fucking coming around at 10 o'clock at night. They're fucking banging on the door. They've got flashlights out on my property. Right, I'm literally fucking terrified for my life. This has been going on for fucking years. I've got all the notes right here. I'm not going to get into it, but what we've got here is indictable crime, compounding indictable offense, criminal negligence, criminal harassment. Yeah, by Tittyzan and its buddies there, acting as the swineherd, SWAT swarm there, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves. What's a swarm? It's a swarm of fucking slimy sickos. Uttering threats. Well, that's what's going on, right? I'm the victim of the crime, and now I'm being treated like the fucking criminal. This is the level of intelligence that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with infants, imbeciles, ignorance, and illiterates. That's who fronts the beast. That's the face of the beast. So the tort of wrongfully holding goods that belong to someone else. Explanation refers to the wrongful act of retaining or refusing to return someone else's property or goods. Well, that's what's happening here. And so at the end of November last year. I've got a locksmith at my house because it's nobody else's job to take the property back but me. I'm the power of attorney. I'm the trustee. I've been fucking robbed. I don't know how many more times I need to tell everybody the same fucking thing. I'm not a fucking idiot. I know exactly how the crime went down. I'm the one it happened to. I know exactly how trusts work. And boom, here we fucking go. I'm being detained. And 4 hours of my time are being wasted. I'm being assaulted, threatened, harassed. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. Here, I'm explaining it here. I won't go into it. But so here we've got two numbers. Now, you can see the first swineherd number. That's from 2020. Yes, that's from 2020. And then, of course, we've got the second swineherd number from 2023. Yep, the satanic cult has paperwork. Proven beyond reasonable doubt pattern of denied service and protection motivated by discrimination, bias, prejudice, and hate of corrupt, crooked Crown employees. Oh, look at this. We've got a warrant out for her arrest. Do you know why? Because I fucking told you, and I fucking will continue to tell you, no contract. I do not require your services, and you will not incite hatred. You will not willfully promote and publicly incite hatred against me and my family. You won't. You will fucking not. And you're going to stop referring to yourselves as peace officers. You're going to stop referring to yourselves as peace officers. You don't have a fucking clue what peace is, and you keep proving it every single fucking day. You are antisocial, antichrist abominations. Yes, you are. Go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. You have a fucking outfit on? Where did you get that outfit? You're outfitted? Yes, I see that. So here, August 6, 2020. Yeah. Because a criminal has now lied, and now the criminals are aiding and abetting the criminal. How do you like them apples? I'm a woman who will not consent to malicious prosecution to publicly incite and willfully promote hatred against my identifiable group. Contract is the law, no contract. You see here, I signed it under duress, autographed under duress. That means, no thank you, fuck off, go fuck yourselves. That's what it means. Now, I was supposed to go down to the whorehouse at Birdhead Avenue there. Do you think I went? Of course I didn't. Like I've already said, my time and my peace are my property. I will not have them wasted. I will not have you disturb my peace. I will not have you waste my time. No thanks. And there's another Latin word there, VC. That's what that means. It means no contract. I don't require your services. If you're not going to charge the fucking thieves who stole my property, then you need to fuck off. Oh, here we go. Now, what you need to know is that December 2019, I provided a package of information to persons representing Victoria Policy Enforcement regarding crime in progress of fraud on the court by CIBC solicitors to rob my interest private property, and for the third time, I'm willfully, intentionally ignored, denied service and protection motivated by these persons' discrimination, bias, prejudice, and hate, because I am a woman of an identifiable group hated by the world and those of the world. And there is the file number. I actually got a file number. I had a stack of papers. I spent all this fucking time and I fucking wasted all this money to fucking write down their own legal bullshit rules. Yes. Oh, hello. Would you like some proof of what I'm telling you? Well, here. That's all I got for you, proof. Yellow highlights, those of CIBC and Fulton & Company. They're guilty. These are terrorist organizations I'm dealing with. Yes, they are. Who the fuck steals a woman's home and then fucking steals all the money and steals her automobile? Listen, these are all gifts. My son is a gift. My son is a gift. My spouse gifted me our home, mortgage-free. He gifted me his automobile. All of it's fucking gone. International and regional instruments for protection from discrimination. Well, fuck yeah, right. I mean, they don't follow any of this. By the way, my people aren't human. No thanks. So, fabricating evidence. What's going on here? Is that a crime? Oh, yes, it is. You're going to fucking go to jail for 14 years for fabricating evidence. Yeah. Right, so you little, what's your fucking face there? By your statements and acts, you have willfully, knowingly, intentionally chosen to be part of yet another malicious prosecution begun by your racist, violent, bigoted, compulsive lying friends doing business as, well, the swineherd departments. Sociopathic, sadistic, swineherd. There's 2 of them right around here that are involved in all of this hate against my family. So listen, did you hear? You've seen? I've showed you. Like what? Like I'm not lying. Why would I do that to you? Why would I waste your time like that? I'm not like that. I would never do that. Listen, I'm not going to harm you in any way, shape, fashion, or form. I would never do that to you. That's not how I am as a woman. And I'm not lying to you. I literally am in constant fear of injury and damage. I'm in fear for my health, my welfare, and my safety, and my life every day, all day. And that is where my exhaustion comes from. Law maxim, the act of law does no one wrong. Law maxim, it is a rule of law that an error not resisted is approved. That's why I would not get out of the last item of security that I had left, because if I had approved to what they were doing, well, then I'm part of the problem. Now I've aided and abetted all these crimes against myself and my property, my private property. That's my private property. I don't need a fucking driver's license to travel, nor do I require insurance. Only if I'm conducting commercial business on your roads do I require those kinds of documents. So do you understand this in Canada here? That it's the swineherd that lay charges? Yes, they're the ones that lay the charges. The victim of the crime never lays the charges here in Canada, ever. And then those liars go talk to these other liars, and then these liars gang up on innocent men and women, which is what's happened to me repeatedly. So that means that an alleged victim, they can't drop charges. Because, so how is that really servicing the victim? How is that taking care of the victim of the crime? Well, it isn't. So a malicious prosecution occurs when swineherd members and other goons, other clowns, cause criminal charges to be filed against a man or a woman. When these imbeciles and infants, they know a reasonable and probable cause is lacking, and the charges are filed because of malice, personal animosity, bias, or some other reason outside the interests of justice. Now, right there, I went through that document before, so I'm not going to go through it again right now. I don't really have a lot of energy. I've been living in survival mode for over 5 decades. But I went through that document a while ago. It was about hate crimes. So I need to inform this individual that they have no authority and they have no jurisdiction, because we are living men and women. We're not creatures of statute. We're not citizens. We're not taxpayers. We're not drivers. We're not residents. We're not body corporates. We're not natural or artificial persons or any other dead legal fiction. And you realize, right, that they can only deal with the dead. They only deal with the dead. A summons, you're summoning the dead. That's your all capital name. The birth certificate is a corporate legal construct designed by the Crown and the Vatican, the City of London, Washington, D.C., organized crime, syndicate to enslave, at birth, people, living people. Common law response to corporate criminal officers. I am living, breathing man or woman. I don't consent. I don't contract with you. No, I do not understand. No, I do not understand legalese. No, I do not understand your authority. You don't need my identity, and I'm not under your Your fucking heathen hooves, thanks. So you realize, right, that I have corrected my status. Federal, provincial, and local agents have all been notified of this. It's a status correction, right? Like, I'm not a Canadian citizen. I can't be. I can't be friends with this world. Look what this world has done to me in my life. I mean, I got nothing left. Except for my integrity, and my kick-ass sense of humor, and my fucking intelligence that'll blow most of the motherfuckers right out of the water any day of the fucking week. See right here, I'm not acting as an artificial person, and I'm not a natural person either. I'm not a thing. I'm not a fucking thing. I'm not a miss. I'm not any of that shit. We just went through this. No. Get the fuck out of here. No. So when the monsters come, well, they did. I was assaulted. They're all armed. Do you understand that? That every member of the swineherd that was there at 7 o'clock on August the 30th, each and every one of them is armed. And yet they're trying to pass themselves off as peace officers. Legitimate peace officers don't carry weapons. No. That's how fucking sick and twisted the beast is. That's how sick and twisted it is. I mean, are you fucking joking? So that's what's going on here. I was assaulted with a deadly weapon. I mean, I'm being robbed. And they're armed. They're armed as they're robbing me. They called up someone to aid and abet their crimes. Yeah. So we have a fee schedule here. Because you have to understand that all these slimy snakes, all these sociopathic, sadistic, slimy snakes, they're all being paid to cause me loss, harm, and injury. Every single one of them is being paid to cause me and my family loss, harm, and injury. And yet I'm not going to be paid? Well, we have fucking rectified that situation, haven't we? You're going to fucking come and do business with me without my consent. It's going to cost the crooked, corrupt crown of carnage and chaos. It's going to end up costing you way more than it'll ever cost me. And so this is what the fee schedule is about. Let's go through some... Okay, let's look at number 5 here. These are quotes coming from the court. And you have to understand that the bar is a body. No matter where the fucker is, whether it's in India or America or Canada or wherever this person is acting as the bar, it's a body. They all represent one body. So you can use quotes from anywhere to shove their own shit down their throats. So let's look at number 5 here. No state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee thereof. You cannot turn my right. It's a liberty. A right is a liberty. You cannot turn... I have mobility rights. I have the right to move from one point to another point using my private household goods. That's what an automobile is. It's private household goods, just like a blender or a coffee maker or anything else. You can't turn my liberty into a license and then charge me a fee. You realize that when you go to get a driver's license, you have to pay them money, right? That's an adhesion contract, and they don't tell you all. Well, they don't tell you what's going on. So that's fraud. That's fraud right there, because you don't know all the terms and conditions of what they're doing to you. A man's home is his castle, and each man's home is his safest refuge. Well, not my house. No, I was completely fucking terrified in my home repeatedly by criminals acting as policy enforcement. A right once vested cannot be divested. Right, exactly. Ignorance of the law excuses no one. That's actually written in the living law. That's written in, well, the living law. No one is bound to expose themselves to danger. Now, listen to me very carefully. No one is bound to expose themselves to danger, which is why I fought so hard for my son, which is my real biological property, private property. What the fuck did you do with my private property? You have no fucking right to kidnap, unlawfully confine, and then sell. And you witches made money doing all of that to us. And then you come for my home? So the sociopathic, sadistic solicitors kept asking me to sign their witchcraft paperwork. Yeah, that would be a fucking hard no. I don't consent. I don't consent to having myself exposed to danger. And now look at what's happened to me. You've read, right? I wrote it all down. That's what I do. I write down depositions. I write down my life experience here. In fucking hell. Yeah, this is hell. He who acts through another acts himself. This means that a judicial officer's actions must be backed by the law, and without a bond or oath of office, their actions are without legal support. Justice delayed is justice denied. The petitioner's... Okay, so I'm not a petitioner. I'm a woman. A woman's right to a lawful proceeding is compromised by the officer's failure to meet legal requirements. The law ever favors justice, not the avoidance of duty. Okay, let me say that one more time. The law favors justice, not the avoidance of duty. It was a duty for me to have my son returned. It was a duty for me to stop them stealing my home and stealing all the money from everything that they sold. Yeah. No one is above the law. I'm reading number 5 here. Court quotes. No one is above the law, not even those entrusted with its enforcement. Oh, we're going to have quite a few fucking swineherd members here about to be fired. You're fired. So what constitutes a constitutional violation? Well, here I'm letting them know, these actors, these clowns, I'm not an individual. I'm not a subject. I'm not a person. I'm not a citizen. None of that. So right to life, liberty, and security. Okay, well, apparently that's not afforded to me. The right to be secure against unreasonable seizure, apparently that's not afforded to me or my family either. The right not to be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned, well, that's never been afforded to me. Right to counsel, fuck you, I am counsel. I am counsel. I'm expert fucking counsel. Yes, I am. Common scenarios of constitutional violations. Well, that's my life. So here's another legal maxim. It's a concept that equity or the law will not aid a person or party who is at fault. So who the fuck is at fault here? Well, we've got Benji Howe and we've got the swineherd here, Saanich and Victoria. Both parties at fault. But look at this. They fucking have got me in fucking cuffs, in a fucking cage for 21 fucking hours. I'm being tortured. I'm being denied necessaries of life. Yes. Well, I'm sorry. I'm the woman this happened to, so I'm the only woman who could provide a witness to what happened. And I'm a truthful witness. I am a truth teller. That's why I'm not welcome here. Oh, look at this. Right, so there was duty counsel on. Oh, yeah. What a... Just a fucking... Oh, my fuck. Yeah, no. Just... Well, what do I say? I mean, you got to be fucking joking. Duty counsel. Yeah. So that's basically defense counsel, is a liar who represents a person charged with committing a crime. Oh, yeah. So you realize these are all fictions, right? Oh, Crown counsel is a liar who represents the case against the person charged. Everything is dead here. Crown counsel are public servants. Oh, are they? They don't represent the police or the victim, but they represent the community as a whole. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening here now. When my brother went through the kangaroo court that ended up, well, he was murdered, right? They stood there. The entire community stood there and said, yes, we want him murdered. and let this innocent man's blood be on us and on our children's hands. So you have just not only committed blasphemy, but you have destroyed not only yourselves, but 4 generations of those who come after you. That's the living law. Go research the living law. I'm an expert in the living law. That's what you did. And so this is what's happened. This is what's happened to the community that I'm in. It has continually and repeatedly committed blasphemy against myself and my family. It has cursed itself. Because we just read right here that this clown representing the crown, it represents the community as a whole, not the police or the victim. So you see how there's absolutely no help at all for the victim of the crime here in Canada? And the piggies are the ones who lay the charges in the first place. Yeah, how do you like them apples? Okay, so I was having to explain to somebody what was going on, and so this is something that I wrote. Nope, no help, just more violence, like when AJ was stolen. Identical treatment because I fought for what is rightfully mine. Thieves call police and are assisted in their crime. How's that okay? So there was somebody on the phone with me, January 2020, when 2 swineherd members kidnapped me from my house against my will, and I was forcibly confined. Yeah, here we go. Pattern of behavior. You should have heard Crown Counsel. Started with lies and didn't stop lying. Said Jack sold my house to Benji Howe, but Jack's already gone in May 2017, when Howe purchased my property that was obtained by crime December 2020. So how is that possible? Listen, as tired as I was, I fucking sat there and I listened to the whole thing go down, thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm the only woman. There's 4 of us, right? There's a bencher, there's the clown acting as the crown, and then there's this duty counsel. And then there's me. So there's 4. And I'm the only one who knows the truth about what's happening. The only one. Okay, here we got a law maxim here. At common law, it's the legal principle that a witness who falsely testifies about one matter is not credible to testify about any matter. Oh, there we go. So to continue with something that I was explaining to someone. So the court heard I have a history of criminal harassment back to 2007, but the first fraudulent accusations by the witches were not until December 2010. And then I had a louche steal everything from me and give it to somebody else because, you know, the swineherd refused service as usual. And then the criminal claims I'm criminally harassing it, which is a lie, but I'm the one who gets charged. And now malicious witness, Benji Howe, claims criminal harassment because that is my, I'm sorry. You know what? That's my house. Get the fuck out of my house. So now what we have here is everything's gone. Everything's stolen and everything is destroyed. And I mean everything. My son, stolen and destroyed. My spouse's legacy and his good character, his good conduct and his good character. Decades of it. Stolen, shit all over and destroyed. All of our property, everything we worked so hard to have. All of it stolen, all of it fucking destroyed. And now, my little girl, my little buggy, my 1993 Mazda 323, completely fucking destroyed. Person acting as the crown there proved to have malicious intent to cause harm by lying regarding every claim it made. This public servant has no case due to its guilty beyond reasonable doubt crime of perjury. So here's another maxim. Deceitful in one, deceitful in all. A maxim meaning that when one has perjured itself, its entire testimony and all of its claims thereby are presumed false, or at least fall under suspicion of deceit. Well, there we go. Oh, look, here we got some. Oh, here we go. So we can see the date here. This is August the 30th. We've got 2 counts. Criminal harassment, that's a fucking lie. And then we've got willfully resisting or obstructing. Yes, another lie. Because, like, I just explained the whole thing to you. Now, here are 2 documents you can hit on. You've probably read them. You've probably looked at these already. The first one, a testimony of violence and offenses against right to property. That's 100 pages that I fucking wrote down. Nobody could do a better job of these depositions than I can. I wrote down exactly what the fuck happened, exactly why I was there that night, and exactly why I do not need a court order to get those trespassers the fuck out of my house. And look what happened. Now, here is, well, it was a notification attached to my home at the end, well, June the 28th. Again, get out of my house. So if you are unaware that an item is stolen, purchasing or possessing the item is not illegal. Although you may have to return it to the true owner, you are not guilty of possessing stolen property. This does not mean that you can just ignore suspicious situations or state that you do not want to know where the item came from. Well, the cabal can make a case that based on the circumstances, you must have known that the property was stolen. Twice a week, a mortgage-free house is being stolen in Canada. The BC real estate industry is completely corrupt. It's being used to launder money for an identifiable group. Right, well, you've got malicious witnesses, so you've got nothing here. Consequences for non-compliance. You're warned. You're not fucking warning me. I'm fucking warning you. Unless you have lawful excuse. Well, I don't have any. Listen, I don't argue and I don't have excuses. I have testimony. And I have reasons. Conditions, eh? So they place conditions on me? Well, that's an offer to contract. Yep. So I'm forced against my will, my conscience, and my culture to consent to unlawful conditions by being intentionally made to fear for my life, intimidated, continuously threatened with the loss of my inalienable right to liberty, safety, access to service, and protection. By abomination accusers, a toxic triangle of liars, Benji Howe, agents of Saanich terrorist criminal organ, and this fucking female. Oh, fucking, yeah, oh my God, no. Oh, fuck it. So now we've got every single one of them. Every single person has now perjured themselves. That's an indictable crime. Every single one of them has fabricated evidence. That's another fucking indictable crime. And every single one of them has now committed the indictable crime of obstructing justice. Way to fucking go. You're all going to jail. And this is a summary judgment. Conviction. There is no trial. I have proof beyond all fucking reasonable doubt. Deuteronomy 19:16. This is the actual law. This is the living law. If guilty of perjury, it's sufficient for their own condemnation, and their punishment shall be exactly the same as would have overtaken the object of their malignant prosecution. Now that makes sense, doesn't it? As I'm being intimidated. Now, again, I'm being intimidated off of my property and from going home. So anyway, so I realized after I got out of there, they started to attack me at 7 o'clock on August the 30th, and I wasn't released until 5 minutes after 4 o'clock on August the 31st. The reporting office is already closed. But what happened is, after I had a little bit of time to sort of adjust myself, that was my father orchestrating that entire event. Because I can't consent, and I'm not going to consent. Oh, here's the conditions. Just fucking... Okay, so did any of those fucking shit stains think to ask me if I have any idea what Benji Howe and Sandy Dennis look like? The other thing is you got a whole fucking slew of, well, that's not how you spell Howe. It's H-O-W. That is not the postal code of my home address. I can't possess guns, weapons? Who the fuck are you to tell me that? You can't fucking put a condition like that on me. Who the fuck do you think you are? And you can't tell me where to go. No, no thank you. Oh, and I must report to the bail supervisor no later than 4 p.m. Well, that's an impossibility because I'm not released till after 4 p.m. They do this to me every time. I was the last one released. So look at the timestamp on the paperwork. Look at it. The timestamp is 7 minutes before 4. That's when it's timestamped. Then it has to go to the sheriffs. Then they have to print the shit out. Then they have to come and get me. They fucking took my photograph again without my consent. That's an assault. I'm in leg irons. At this point, I'm not even barely walking because my fucking skin is now missing from my ankles. I now have no skin on my ankles. No. I was fucking tortured for 21 fucking hours over fucking malicious fucking accusations. So yeah, no thanks. No, yeah, there's no fucking way you're telling me what to do or where to go. Black Death favored by armed and dangerous criminal terrorist organs who identify by wearing graven images. So here we've got 2 Instagram lives. We've got one, I caught about 25 minutes of the gang assaulting me, intimidating me, threatening me, and then I've got the body of the crime. I had to pay $400 that I don't have to even see my little girl, to show everybody that she's now fucking missing 2 more windows in yet another fucking hate crime. And deadly weapons were used to cave her windows in. Deadly weapons were fucking used by the sociopathic, sadistic SWAT swarm to completely destroy the last item of security I have left and highly sentimental property. Natural law. This is, you can't get around it, right? Earlier in time, stronger in the law. Older laws take precedence over newer ones. Legal principle. Well, what the fuck does legal have to do with law? So again, listen, you can't get around it. You cannot get around the living law. There's no way to get around it. It applies to all of us. So the secular world system of legal comes from Roman civil code, which is based on the concept of lies, right? Legal fiction. Everything legal is a lie. Everything legal is dead. A fiction is a lie. A legal fiction is witchcraft. The BARF members, well, who are they? So it's been written that you're not going to make for yourselves idols or any likeness of what is in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the water under the earth. So look at here. Check this out. What the fuck is that thing doing hanging on the wall? You know, I've broken that down. It's all sadistic. It's all sick. It's all sociopathic. All of those, whatever that is. And you've got an altar there? Excuse me, what? Yeah, no, I'm a woman identified as hated, targeted, and one of a minority known as the peculiar people who all refuse to enter realms containing evil idols and abomination altars. No thanks, go fuck yourselves. Oh, the cursed creature crown, representing corruption, chaos, confusion, and carnage. I don't know how familiar you are with Scripture. So I belong to, well, we have many identities. One of them is the remnant, the living. That's who we are. We hate the beast of falsehood, and that's exactly what it is. We hate it. So it's written in Psalms, it's written in Proverbs, it's written in John. You have to have 2 or 3 witnesses of the truth to establish the truth. So that's what I've done there. Okay, let's get out. Oh, wait a minute here. Did we figure that out? Were we finished with that? Yes, I think we were. Okay, good. Now we'll go over here. Bear with me here. Okay, what's happening here? I want to show you something here. This is from the Orca. So look at this letter from BC urban mayors who span the political spectrum. They told Evie that since 2017, the time it takes these imbeciles and infants to conduct a jump filed 118%. 26% more stay of proceedings were being offered, and guilty verdicts were down 20%. These outcomes are indicative of a system under strain and are discouraging for police and community alike. Well, I better reserve my self because that's a bunch of bullshit. Discouraging for police? No, they could fucking care less about community safety. They don't care. They are criminals. Police are criminals. On Monday, it was clear in his first question period as premier that it still doesn't understand how widespread the concerns over public safety have become. Its performances was far more bored bureaucrat than the last idiot, detached of any of the empathy that the other one used so effectively to connect with everyday British Columbians. Okay, well, I'm not a British Columbian. I'm a woman. But do you see how sick and twisted, slimy and sadistic, and sociopathic this one is now? So where's the accountability? Remember that the corrupt liars, well, they just all protect each other. It's a sociopathic system that feeds on itself. So Canada's corrupt when it comes to choosing judges. Well, I could have told you that. So you all know who I am, right? I keep telling everybody. It's really important to understand that 1 to 3% of your population is an INFJ personality. 1 to 3%, that's it. Now, do you know why? We know who's lying because we're sensitives, we're empaths. And a lie makes us sick to our stomach. Yeah. Oh no, I know definitely when a fucker's lying. And the situation can have absolutely nothing to do with me and nothing to do with my life. And I can sit there and listen and go, oh yeah, okay, well what the fuck are you doing? Like, so now you've identified yourself as a liar. Good for you. Well, let's fucking hope that works out for you at the end of the day, because I know it ain't, because you know what? I'm here at my fucking limit. Like, seriously, like, I'm just so fucking over it all. It's just so over it all. Right, a belief in authority. Oh my, well, yeah, it's a religion. Yes, it is. Authority is the religion of Freemasonry, and Freemasonry at its foundation is witchcraft. Yes, that's the truth. Authority is an illusion of a diseased psyche. Yeah, fucking rights it is. Based entirely upon violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief that some of these fucking monkeys are masters who have the moral right to issue commands, while others are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the masters. Not this woman. Well, yeah, right? Like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm not sure how you have your foot in your mouth, your head in your ass, and your nose in my private business. Yet here we are again, you fucking wizards. Here we are fucking yet again. I am a private woman living a private life. The only time any of you motherfuckers have the right to be involved in my life is if I have caused you or yours loss, harm, or injury. That's the only time you have a right to be involved in my life. Otherwise, stay the fuck out of my life. Toxic fucking trolls create chaos, point fingers, shift blame, and avoid taking responsibility. Well, I tried everything in my power to keep Benjamin House, Senator Dennis, and those trespassers out of jail. I did everything in my power. And now you're all going to jail. And I'm the woman who's putting you there. Yes. What is fiction at law? Well, a fiction, it's a legal fiction, is an artificially created entity that is only contemplated in the legal world, the world of the witch. In other words, it is not real except in the eyes of barf members. Legal fictions are the opposite of natural entities, like people. A created legal fiction is endowed by the legal world to have some privileges that resemble the rights that people have, such as the right to hold property and to sue and be sued. The most common legal fictions are corporations and trusts. These have been around for quite some time, with their main purpose being to limit the liability of the people holding the corporation or the trust, allowing them to not be personally responsible for their actions. As to corporations, they can do one thing that you cannot. They can live forever. Legal fictions are not compatible with the common law, which is the law our land was founded upon. In common law, everyone is responsible for their own actions and is held accountable and responsible for any wrongdoing. That's why you don't go get fucking insurance. That means you have identified yourself as an infant and an imbecile. And you shouldn't even be fucking allowed to have an automobile or a vehicle or be anywhere on the roads. So if you harm somebody now, you've got a coven, you've got a third-party coven involved now when you've harmed somebody, so you're just going to walk away because you have insurance? Fuck off, fuck you. Jurisdiction. Well, I tell you what, these psychos, these sociopaths, these sadistic, slimy solicitors cannot get jurisdiction over my people. No entry. The living man cannot go into such entrapment venues as they deal with the dead and not the living. Only persons volunteer by consent to go to the slaughter. Legal is the undoing of the living law. Maxim of law, legality is not reality. Well, here it is. Here it fucking is right here. Have you heard of this Soji? You've heard of it, haven't you? Yeah, secular, satanic, of the beast government, incompetent ignorance. Well, it's the government of the infant imbecile. It's the government of the infant and imbecile. That's what it is. Government of the wicked, by the wicked, for the wicked. The dead don't govern the living. Oh, okay, so here we go. Here's living law right here. This is from Exodus. Keep far from a false charge. Do not bring death on those who are innocent and in the right. For I, now who is I? I is the judge. For I, the judge of both the living and the dead, will not acquit the wrongdoer, the trespasser. The fifth commandment, what is it? You don't murder. Not, you don't kill. Killing and murder have nothing to do with each other. Come on now. You don't murder. So what does this mean? It means that you have to fear and love the truth and the living law so that you don't hurt and harm your neighbor in their body, but you help and support them in every physical need. We are now living at the stage of the age where the love of the majority has grown ice cold. Well, have you heard enough? What do you think? So that's what's happening now. I'm not playing your little fucking game.